We are back with a new episode of the Agent P Show. Your host here, Phillip Salem, or as everyone calls me, Agent P. I am your NYC and LA-based real estate agent known as hashtag the Bicoastal Baddie. Now also with the podcast where all are welcomed. We are dedicating this season in honor of my sweet angel Cookie Dough, who recently crossed the Rainbow Bridge. My husband and I adopted her from Animal Haven, a rescue here in New York dedicated to finding homeless dogs their forever homes. To learn more about Animal Haven, visit animalhaven.org for information on adopting, volunteering, or donating. And be sure to watch Season 1, Episode 3, featuring Tiffany Lacey, the director of Animal Haven. We love you, Cookie. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am so excited for this episode because it is the first time I have two guests on the show. These powerful women are the talent behind one of my favorite podcasts and lifestyle brands, Non-Corporate Girls. Non-Corporate Girls is a go-to digital diary filled with expert advice, tangible resources, and digestible content for the person who chooses not to limit themselves. The Non-Corporate Girls brand is all about a community built to influence, inspire, and integrate. The dynamic duo behind the brand are Ayanna and Delaila, and they are here in the Agent P studio right now. Thank you guys for joining the show today.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, the introduction. I loved it.
Right? I mean, but
Yeah.
it's what the Non-Corporate Girl brand is all about.
Yeah.
So, I always like to start the show. First off, how are you guys?
I'm doing good. I was having a great day. The MTA could really try to bust your bubble.
New York life, right?
Hashtag New York life.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I feel blessed. The day is daying, but I feel blessed.
Good.
Happy to be here.
Happy to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. Before I go into the topic of each show, I always talk about how we met.
Oh
So Ayanna and I go back 2008.
Oh my God, it feels like decades.
2009 Stylecaster days.
Yeah.
About 2 decades.
Right?
That is crazy.
I know.
We go way back.
Stylecasters.
Stylecaster. That's how we met.
Throwback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I met you. You came to one of my parties. And
The
we have
infamous
a,
parties.
We have a
The
picture of,
infamous.
look how cute we
Oh
are
my
here.
God.
We are. That's such a great photo.
That was 2 years ago, I think.
It was.
Really?
Yeah.
Already?
Yeah, that was in 2021. or
Yeah.
2022.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about my episode on Non-Corporate Girls in a
Yes.
minute, but I want to hear from you guys. For the people who do not know, who are so out of touch, who don't know what Non-Corporate Girls
Yes.
are,
Unreal.
give me a little bit of background behind Non-Corporate Girls.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to kick us off. So thank you so much for having us.
Of course.
Non-corporate is literally like a lifestyle podcast platform really focusing on entrepreneurial and professional wellness. And how it really started was Delaila and I were venting to each other in our toxic work environments in corporate America. We were the only women on our teams of color, only people who felt like we got it and nobody else did. And we felt so stifled. We felt like we didn't have support. We didn't have what we like to call our 4 C's: creativity, collaboration, change, and cultivation. And so we found it in each other. We met backstage during New York Fashion Week one year. And we kind of became accountability partners, and we just developed a relationship. And then fast forward to that toxic work environment, we went to a fashion party, like a fashion event one year, and someone was like, "What do you guys do?" And we said, "Oh, we're like the Slashies. We're kind of like the Non-Corporate Girls." And we're like, "Oh, shoot, that's something." And so the girl was like, "I never heard of that before, but I like it, and I'm that too." And then we just kind of ran with that, and it kind of took off.
It sure did. Ayanna was like, we're the Non-Corporate Girls. And they was like, what? And we was like, wait a minute, we have something here.
Yeah.
And we really ran with it because it was literally not even an idea. It was a thought.
It was a thought.
So one of the main pillars of the Non-Corporate Girl, and I'm going to read it from here, is where the 9 to 5 and 5 to 9 meet.
Yes.
Who wants to take?
I will do the honors. And so where the 9 to 5 and 5 to 9 meet is just that a lot of us, we wear many hats. I feel like we shouldn't be confined and put in a box. We should be able to explore, all of the things that we are able to do. And so when you're thinking about your 9 to 5 job, right? You're hired for something and you're gonna just do that task. But wouldn't it be amazing and the opportunity given for you to explore the other thing that you're passionate about in that role? And so I feel like if companies and employers will think about how you can expand an individual, you'll get more out of them.
Wow. Speaking on the topic of Non-Corporate Girl, tell me, why do you feel people limit themselves to be just a corporate girl or just a corporate person rather than a non-corporate girl?
Yeah, I mean, it's our environment, right? Like, I mean, I think that people like us, grew up to be put in boxes. Unfortunately, people conform a lot. And when you go to college and all the things, people are like, oh, you get this one job, you stay in this one role, and you're a lifer there. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Gone are the days where people, what is that? Gone are the days where people are lifers. Like, today is a time where you get to explore all the layers of who you are and what does that look like and what do you bring to the table. And honestly, sometimes it's creating those tables yourselves.
Yeah.
Because in these corporate environments, like Delilah was saying, they don't allow you to do that. And so so I love that you asked that, because non-corporate is a mindset. And that's what we want people to understand. Like, it's not about you being against corporate America or not. It's about you defining a life that works for you. How do you create your life by design, and how do you redefine what it looks like to pivot?
Wow. Do you have anything else to say about that?
Yes, I was gonna say that there's sometimes like you're told what you're good at, or how many times have we heard, oh, you're still really good at that. But that doesn't mean that's what you're gonna do forever. It could be something you enjoy, and like not everybody wants to monetize on their gifts, and you should not be able to. You should be able to like explore and, to Ayanna's point, pivot. And so I feel like some people don't allow you to grow. And so you may have met me in junior high school or college, and you just look at me from that point of view.
Yeah.
It's like tunnel vision.
I was lucky enough to be on your podcast, and I want to preface before what I say about my episode. You guys have done over 130 episodes over 7 seasons.
It's
6 seasons, 123 episodes.
Okay. I was close.
You were close.
When you think about the amount of episodes you have done and the amount of guests and diversity you have had on your show, how does that make you feel, and what do you want people to take away from it?
Well, I feel super proud and committed. Like, we've been so committed to that. And what I want people to take away from it is an open mind. Like, our episodes have so much information. We really speak from our very own life experiences. And so it's not like a one size fits all, but you can see from your point of view where, like, the mistakes we've made, how you can try to not make them or do things differently.
Wow.
And I'd add to that I think the beauty of our episode catalog, honestly, is that we meet people on their journey. Everyone is at a different place in their life, they're a different era, a season. And so there's an episode for all of it, right?
I think one thing I love about your site, and I don't think people understand, if you don't go to noncorporategirls.com, you don't understand the lux and the legitimacy of this brand. And I call it a brand because it's not just a podcast.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about the other things that the brand offers in terms of services and events and speaking engagements and all that. But I want to focus on the podcast for 1 second. You can search a keyword, which I have never seen on any podcast platform. I typed in fashion, and like all the fashion podcasts came up, or I talked about self-help, and a lot of the keywords for self-help came up. And it's just inspiring to hear your point of view from your expertise, and it's just a very cool experience. And I'm not just saying that because we're friends and we go back 2 decades. We're aging ourselves.
Right.
But it is very inspiring. And to talk about the episode that I was on, Real Estate Extraordinaire,
One of my favorites.
it was just such a great episode because we
was.
talked about how I felt confined in boxes. And I think when I was on the show, I was learning a lot about myself, rather than Phillip doesn't only need to be a real estate agent. Phillip doesn't need to adhere to what real estate agents
Absolutely.
look like or act like.
Right.
Phillip doesn't need to confine themselves in a box of only being a real estate agent. We spoke about how, real estate is technically my livelihood, but I love doing podcasts. I love making my candle business. I love doing my PJ business. I love volunteering with animals. So it really resonated with me, and a lot of people who watched and listened to the episode and saw the live, that I feel like we did something on Instagram too. We're like so inspired by it. So it goes beyond just the episode, and it lives forever. Like you said, it's a library.
It's a
They
library.
are a lot of episodes.
And also, just to add to that, like, we always get to the core of Phillip the brand,
Yes.
right? Not Phillip the real estate agent.
Yeah.
Phillip the brand.
Yeah.
That's just one aspect of you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or Philip the person, or the guest the person. And just to give the viewer some insight, you have had some of the most diverse guests and topic on your podcast.
Yeah.
Something I'm very inspired by, not only for my show, but in real life. Some of the episode titles include Building Inclusive Communities with DEI Executive Netta Jenkins, The Break Room, The Power of No, The Permission to Brag or Nah, is that. And one of my personal favorites, It's Not a Conversation, It's a Consultation, and so many more. These are some of my favorites. What was an episode that really resonated with you both, and why?
Oh, where do I begin? I don't even know titles by heart at this point. To be honest, I'm really inspiring. That I was gonna say, like, the guests that we've had have been so inspiring and have taught us so much. The learnings are things that even we utilize. It's not only for our audience.
Yeah.
A little bit selfishly, some of it, the insights have helped fine tune our machines
Wow.
too.
Cool.
So it's been a little bit of everything. And I think the growth, because if you listen to each season back to back, you really see how we've evolved.
Yeah.
And I think I'd add, we've obviously had some dynamic guests, and that's core to the brand, because we want people to understand that, like, your path is not linear, and these are different people who have carved out different things. I think what I love the most, though, are the episodes but just me and Delaila, because you get to really see our growth in real time.
Yeah.
And like she said, back-to-back seasons, like, we've evolved not just as a brand, but as people. And we're human first. And so that, to me, is core to, like, everything we do and what I love so much about our episodes.
I mentioned the episode, It's Not a Conversation, It's a Consultation, because that's one that resonated with me a lot. And everybody's DMing me or emailing me, how do I become a real estate agent? How do I do this? And it's the expertise that's in my head and the experience, which costs money. It's a consultation.
You've invested in you.
Yeah.
So even with this podcast, I reached out to the non-corporate girls to have a consultation because I needed the help. Even though you're my friend,
And we appreciate it.
and we'll get into that because it's another part of your brand is consultation.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to get the knowledge from such elite podcasters.
You were too
But-
kind.
Yeah, but it's a consultation. If
Yeah.
people are constantly, you have so many little gems in each podcast and each title that really resonates with me, and which is why I wanted you guys on the show to talk more about it. So with that being said, tell me about the evolution of Non-Corporate Girls, how you started, the challenges you faced, and the growth journey. Well, there's a whole episode about it. You can just listen to
There's
that.
a lot of
There's
episodes.
a lot of episodes. I guess it begins in kind of what we've been dealing with in our personal lives and journeys, because of course we have to work for our livelihood.
Yeah.
We can't wait to the day where Non-Corporate Girls is signing our checks. And so getting to that point it's just been a lot of having to iterate what Non-Corporate Girls looks like, right? Because we can keep on recording and making podcast after podcast, but like what's really going to help us to monetize that and like expand the brand. And so that has been how we have evolved, and now we're to the point where we're like consulting, public speaking, educating, using courses, and really utilizing our skill set for the things that people look to us for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that going back to just the growth, and I think you'll probably like agree to this as you continue to, brand this podcast yourself, but like it's really fascinating to me how like when people are in corporate America, they really forget what it's like to like have the skills of a freelancer or entrepreneur, because those really help you grow as a person. And I think for us, like just doing 6 seasons, however many episodes we've done, we've grown so much as people. And with that, it's been more about like, well, what is our mission? What's the future? What does that look like? And then how do we take our expertise and bring that to the table? And I think with all the other services that we've started to add, it's really about how we're showing up, not just the brand, but how we're showing up as people and how we can help people leverage their own brands and what does that look like. And so it's been a huge growth. It's been a huge pivot. It's been a lot of learnings. It's been a lot of challenges. But I think, again, the thing that we're most successful at is just being better versions of ourselves, and that shows in the brand.
It does. And I wanted to wait until the end of the podcast to ask this, but I feel like we've jumped ahead of it. I have a list of all the businesses that you guys have within Non-Corporate Girls, and I just kind of want to go through all of them, just so the people that are listening and watching, they understand it's not just the podcast, because it's so much more than that. So you can book a Non-Corporate Girl consult. Tell me about that.
Yeah.
Besides me, you know, what I already spoke about, I booked a Non-Corporate Girl consult with you guys about podcasting. What does that, you know, what
And
does
you
that
were
look
our
like?
first one, by the way.
Oh my God, I love that.
Without even knowing, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Right, because you were like our tester. Like, you know, we knew what we were going to offer, but we wanted to make sure that it was what you needed.
It was exactly what I needed and more.
Yeah. So for our consultations, it can be one of two things. It could be branding. And so a lot of people are trying to find their footing and their voice, and how could they emerge out of all the, you know, the background noise.
Okay.
How can you like position yourself the best way possible? And so we help people organize themselves. They have an idea, or they just kind of like rough around the edges, and we kind of reel them in so that they present the best way possible. So that's one service.
Okay. Another one is you can join a Non-Corporate Girls Expert Hub. Tell me about that. And all of this is accessible on the website too, by the way.
Absolutely.
You can click on. So tell me about
All of
that.
it. So the Expert Hub is like our latest baby, I'd say. You know, we're just trying to, again, thinking about growth and how do we pivot. What are we going to be known for? You know what I mean? Like non-corporate is where the 9 to 5 and 5 to 9 meet. And so it feels like we need to own that space a little bit more. And so this is our way of doing that. And so what we want to do is build the community, connect the resources, and connect the experts. And so if you go on our website, you can sign up for the Expert Hub. And basically, we're collecting a database of all the experts in tons of different things, where entrepreneurs and professionals can go to a place eventually where they can actually see these experts and actually reach out to them. And it helps the experts because if people want to book consults or whatever that looks like, packages, etc., they have a direct contact to do that. So it's kind of like we want to create like a report essentially of like resources and experts.
Okay. Which I've never seen done.
Right?
Not in this realm, and it's in so to speak, is like materializing the podcast.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those resources you have to listen to the whole episode to grab. So we're kind of putting them somewhere else
In a hub.
In a hub. Yep.
And then you also have the Art of series, which I think you guys are having something soon. Tell me about that
Yes.
series.
Next week, actually,
Oh my
August
God.
22nd, is the Art of Networking. And so we started with the Art of Podcasting, which was a class workshop that we've taught to different organizations, professionals and young adults, of how to kind of launch their podcast. And then we had an aha moment that we have like kind of a series with the Art of, and we were like, there are other topics that can feed into this that will be very valuable to other people. And so we're kicking it off with the Art of Networking because, as you know, networking is so important.
And it's like our version of a master class. You know what I mean? Like, we don't just want it to be an event. We want to be able to help people get the tools and the strategies to help them actually go out there and be proper networkers, you know?
So are these all in New York in a venue? How do people get tickets?
Yeah, right now, so it's just launching. So right now our first one is in New York. It's at Luminary headquarters. For anyone that doesn't know, Luminary is a woman-owned co-working space that accepts allies as well, but it's a really dope place, and we're going to do it there. And then we want to see what happens. We'd love to be able to take this cross-country. We'd love to be able to do virtual, but every other month, we're going to see what we're going to do.
I feel like in a lot of these, you know, events where communicators go up, it's always the same kind of person. So to see two strong Black women on stage is very inspiring.
And the cool thing about the Art of Networking is that we're picking up different speakers in different industries.
Okay.
Because we want to be able to show that it doesn't matter what industry you're in, networking is a key thing, and you get to figure out how to do it, whether you're an introvert, extrovert, whether you work in HR or journalism.
So you'll have a guest on stage with you at some
We'll
point?
have 2 guests,
Wow.
actually. So it's going to be us and 2 guests.
Wow.
Yeah, in different industries. Really just, again, intimate discussion masterclass.
Another thing you guys have is the Art of Podcasting workshops. Tell me about that.
Yes, so those workshops are for organizations or people who want to level up and take their, their insights and bring it to the podcast world. So like, how do you set up? What's your content going to be about? What is the podcast going to entail? How are you going to launch the podcast? How are you going to market the podcast? So like that 101 of kind of jump starting so that you position yourself the right way.
People see the mic and the audio file, and it's so easy.
It's not easy.
It is not
we also,
easy.
We also have a checklist in our hub. So if
Yes.
anyone wants to go on our hub and download, you can actually download like a quick one-sheet guide
things
on
you
all the
need.
things you need to get set up. But the curriculum we actually teach.
There's so much more, but one of the other things, you can book you guys for speaking events, and on the website it's called the Non-Corporate Girl Media Tour. Tell me about that.
Yes, so it's based like on the things that are passionate, like entrepreneur wellness, networking, where the 9 to 5 and 5 to 9 meet, like topics that we have lived through that we can share our testimony and be inspiration to people who attend, you know, whether it's a conference, a public speaking opportunity where we can like share our story.
Nice. What do you want people to take away from the Non-Corporate Girl overall brand, the podcast, these new endeavors that you guys have going on?
So a friend of mine reached out. We reconnected through social media, and she told me she was so inspired of listening to our podcast and went and like started her YouTube channel.
Wow.
So like something has, it's not minor in my eyes. I feel like that's huge. Like we encourage somebody to feel empowered to go and take that first step.
Yeah.
Because even with podcasting, although we say it, you know, it is a big lift, it's very much possible. It's just the commitment and willingness to want to do it, and it can be done.
What about you, Ayanna?
I'd say that I think that like when we started non-corporate, the mindset is really key, right? Like we're really about people understanding that you get to redefine how you pivot, you get to create a life by design. And I think that that's the most important thing we've asked for and we look for on the podcast, and the gems, the tips, the people, the services. What is your story? What do you want to tell the world, and how do you want to show up? And we're here to help you do it.
Do you see this where you're speaking to like larger corporate companies? I feel like that would be like such a
That is definitely
crazy,
aspirational.
like, where you're speaking to corporate companies about being non-corporate.
I mean, it's
Right?
it's in the track, like it's on the list for us. We want to do TED Talks. We
Yeah.
want to write a book.
You will.
We want to partner with media companies
Yeah.
that can help us get a bigger audience, because a lot of people, I think, will learn from the things we have to share. Like a lot of people experience it.
Well, you think about this meeting backstage at a fashion show to 6 seasons, 123 episodes, pillars of services that you can offer to monetize on. How does it make you feel to remember meeting backstage, to seeing where you've come, and to continue seeing where you will even go further?
Don't stop, because I mean, what if we would have quit or just been like, I'm not gonna do it? And a lot of people, whatever they're pursuing, just accepting what the challenges are.
Yeah.
Like the journey is as much as part of the process has the end destination.
Yeah.
And also, like, something that me and Delilah also realized recently is not enough people talk about what it's like to be a co-founder. You know, there's a lot of founders, but a co-founder synergy is very different. And
very.
so we've fortunately been starting to talk about that. And I think that's a sweet spot for us, because it's been a long time and we're still rocking. We know so many people who have like broken up, who like, you know, things have folded.
Went separate ways.
And we're still here.
Yeah.
We're like, what makes this so special?
I think your friendship.
Yes, the basis
At
of the
the
friendship
core.
is
Yeah, friendship.
and the respect, and also like
Respect.
the want, like I know the visions that I have are very similar to the ones that Ayanna has, and like we're really striving to like get this to where we know it could be.
What drives you personally as entrepreneurs and the lessons you've learned along the way? I feel like that's a fitting segue. I can read. What drives you personally as entrepreneurs, and what lessons have you learned along the way?
For me, what drives me is like not giving up on myself. Like sometimes I have to question, am I gonna give up because it's hard, or am I giving up because it doesn't align
Wow.
with where I am? And usually it's because it's hard, and it's like life will get hard. If I stop here and start another thing, that's gonna get hard. So it's just like the motivation to know I can overcome, I can achieve.
I sometimes, even by doing this endeavor as a podcast, I sometimes sit and I'm like, who wants to hear my voice? Who wants to hear my guests? Who wants to watch an episode? Who wants to listen? Who wants to use me as a real estate agent if I'm speaking about a real estate agent? Who wants to buy my brand? All this noise gets in your head. But when I hear things like your podcast, or I'm inspired by something that you guys are doing, it's what gets me out of it. So
1000%.
I don't know, it's just like
the Olympics right now is what has
Wow.
inspired me. Like, I get inspired by people and stories and things, and that's invigorating. Like, all the setbacks and all the things they had to get through to become an Olympian. I feel like I'm on my own Olympic journey.
I mean, it's a fact. Two things to what you
Tell
said.
me.
One of my favorite quotes, and I say this all the time, is you cannot be an imposter in your own experience. And I tell you, I take that everywhere before I'm on the stage, before everything, because to your point, who wants to hear me? Like, you cannot be an imposter in your own experience. Your story resonates. The other thing, going back to your question, is why not me? And that's what I've been trying to like really focus on, and like, so I stop counting myself out. Why not? And to the Olympics, why not? We can do anything we want to do.
If we put our mind to it, and it's sometimes it sounds so cheesy saying it out loud sometimes, but it's the reminder that we need. People will see the posts on Instagram and the vacations and the Phillip did this deal and Phillip has this podcast, but you know, I'm also human.
It's that internal work. That internal work is difficult, and it's an exercise every day.
And the sacrifices, like you sacrifice, like you know, with the passing of Cookie, like I'm sure you're mourning and like you're still showing up today.
They're here.
You know, I always think, to go along with some of the quotes that you guys said, I want to live in the present, and I need to live for, you know, my family, and I need to live for myself and my hopes. What time we have here on earth is so limited. We have to show up. We have to do the things. And to go back to what Delaila was saying, what you were saying, you know, I sometimes think I'm on the treadmill. I'm like, oh, I don't want to be doing this right now. I want to be watching TV, and then I'm like, wait, you know, I just saw Janet Jackson perform live for 2.5 hours and she's killing it, and I want to do that. I'm going to get through it. I just listened to a Non-Corporate Girls episode about some type of struggle or, you know, tribulation. I'm going to do it.
Because, like, it's so easy to put up an excuse, right? Like, I don't want to, but, like, the life we want to live is on the other side of the work that sometimes we try to avoid. If we don't do the work, we're not going to get there. So we, like, got to go hard.
As a new mother, you just had a baby with your
I
wife.
have a little NCG baby.
She's so cute. How has that changed the way you view yourself as a non-corporate girl?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. But honestly, I still think it goes back to just who we are as people. You know, I think I'm someone who I faced a lot of trials and tribulations just being part of so many like marginalized communities, and I think that I always want to be able to show like my daughter, future kids, that you get to create the life that you want. And I'm constantly striving to do that. Like, regardless of everything happening, that's my focus. Like, how do I get to where I want to be? And understanding that you can be that person. The other piece of that too is living authentically. You know what I mean? I'm someone who like embraces authenticity. I want everyone else to do that, and I help inspire people to do that. I want to make sure that my little girl is also doing that too. Like, be who you are, because the world needs you. And when you get to show up authentically, you help other people do that, you know? And that's what we want to strive for.
I love that. That was the perfect answer to the hard question. It didn't seem like a hard question because you answered it perfectly.
I mean, I think about it a lot. When you have a kid, you start thinking about things at like 0 months, right? It's like...
You want to protect them.
Yeah.
I like to end the podcast with just some like fire questions, you know, say the first thing that comes to your mind. And I know a lot of these for you, but maybe they don't.
Okay.
Favorite singer?
Beyonce.
Rihanna. And she's not a singer per se, but you know, but Rihanna's my favorite everything. Yeah.
Beyonce's not just a singer either. And this is the perfect thing. They're non-corporate girls. Yeah. You know, they have multiple
but I ride
businesses.
for Rihanna. Like, she's my best friend in my head.
Rihanna is everything to you. What's your favorite restaurant in New York?
Ooh, favorite restaurant.
That's hard.
It's a tough one. All right. What's your morning routine as a non-corporate girl?
Ooh, morning routines, like prayer. I have to start my day with prayer and lemon water.
Okay. I'm sure yours has changed now.
Well, I've been in this
the last few months.
high intensity boot camp class.
You're doing great.
That I hate.
No, but
that is my morning thing. And then from there, it's meditation, because I like to be grounded for like the troubles of the world.
Okay.
For the restaurant question, I'm just going to say Italian restaurants. I don't have a specific one, but Italian food, always.
I love Italian food too. My husband's Italian. So We love Italian food. What is your evening routine?
Ooh, my skincare routine.
Okay. Is it like
we
a
are-
long
she's into
laundry list? I mean,
skincare.
look
We
how
are
you have baby
moisturizing.
skin. Look at your
Thank
skin.
you. We are moisturizing. We are face masking. Yeah.
What about you, Ayanna?
I think it's different now because I have a baby. So, like, I don't really even know what my evening routine is. But I do know that one thing I need to always do is make sure that I get to a place where I'm, like, not checked into social media. I'm able to, like, chill out,
Good
even if
advice.
it's just for 30 minutes or an hour, and just, like, have me time just to be. Because there isn't a lot of that in my day.
Yeah. Ayanna and Delaila, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. Before we leave, I'd love to thank our sponsor, Pop-Up Florist. Pop-Up Florist is a female-owned company creating feel-good flowers with innovative designs. And to all of those tuning in, you can get a discount at popupflorist.com by using coupon code TheAgentPShow. And to all of those tuning in, you can get a discount at popupflorist.com by using coupon code TheAgentPShow at checkout. Pop-Up Florist ships nationwide. So before we end this podcast episode, I want you guys to give the people a moment to leave with. So give them anything. I know you guys have given a lot. If there's anything else that you want to say, tell the people.
I'll just say, don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness.
Ooh,
Do it.
ooh.
Ooh, I
Deep one.
love that. Gave me chills. Your voice matters. Make sure that you always speak up. And if you're in a place where it doesn't allow that, create your own table.
To continue following Non-Corporate Girls on IG, follow the brand at Non-Corporate Girls and head over to noncorporategirls.com. Thank you for listening and watching, and catch you on the next episode of The Agent P Show. Thank you both so much for being on.
Thank
Yes, thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.